Remember the pulse-pounding beats and soulful lyrics blasting from your stereo in the 70s? The rush of excitement hearing your favorite band's new album for the first time. Music takes us back to carefree weekends, rocking out with friends and jamming to our favorite tunes without a care in the world. But not all bands have stood the test of time. Some short-lived acts have developed cult-like followings despite barely making a blip in their heyday. Their edgy sounds and zany styles make us nostalgic for decades past. What controversial bands do you miss from days gone by? Join me as we take a rock and roll road trip down memory lane and reminisce about 13 reviled bands from the 70s that most people don't want back. Kicking things off, who remembers Kiss? This face-painted foursome shocked parents in the 70s with their over-the-top look and rebellious lyrics. Love them or hate them, Kiss was an unforgettable force in hard rock. Their albums, Alive and Destroyer, turned up the volume on heavy metal. Songs like Rock and Roll All Night and Detroit Rock City became youthful anthems. Parents and critics shook their heads, but we kids just couldn't get enough. Kiss was our gateway drug into the world of hard rock rebellion. Their spectacular stage shows and epic guitar solos electrified a generation of budding metalheads. Makeup-clad figures like the Demon, Starchild, Catman, and Spaceman felt thrillingly subversive. Concert footage shows seas of adoring teens waving banners and screaming every lyric. Kiss turned rock and roll into an immersive world we kids wanted to inhabit. Sure, Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley cashed in with mountains of merchandise. But who didn't love rocking out in their officially licensed Kiss gear? Some people, apparently. Even if you rolled your eyes, their spectacles still thrilled. Up next, who wants to get mellow? The Carpenters churned out soft rock ballads that topped the charts throughout the 70s. Siblings Karen and Richard Carpenter crooned close harmonies over lush orchestral arrangements. Hit songs like Close to You and Rainy Days and Mondays defined easy listening radio. But not everyone adored their syrupy, sweet, middle-of-the-road sound. Rock purists found the Carpenters far too unthreatening and lightweight. They shook their heads at the dweeby band image and conservative stage presence. But hey, Karen Carpenter had some serious pipes, and those melodies stick in your head for days. Her velvety contralto voice lent warmth to sentimental ballads like Superstar and Goodbye to Love. Richard Carpenter's meticulous arrangements elevated the duo's music. Lush strings, sparkling pianos, and breezy woodwinds created an easy, nostalgic glow. While hipper music fans dismissed the Carpenters as square, their music resonated with listeners craving comfort. As chaotic times swirled, their sentimental love songs provided a soothing refuge from the storms of life. Easy to parody, but hard to perfect, the Carpenters' brand of schmaltz still touches the heartstrings today. Their cozy musical craftsmanship endures even if the clothes look dated. The Carpenters dished out comfort food music that still soothes our souls today. Zapping back to the early 70s, who remembers Grand Funk Railroad? This Michigan trio hit hard with gritty Rust Belt rock anthems. Their raw, bluesy energy resonated with working-class fans. Hits like We're an American Band and Some Kind of Wonderful turned stadium concerts into fist-pumping frenzies. But music critics absolutely despised Grand Funk. They slammed the band as sloppy, basic, and overhyped. Yet Grand Funk's blue-collar grit endures today. We'd pump our fists and bang our heads to high-voltage classics like I'm Your Captain all over again. This power trio blasted out of the Motor City with forceful immediacy. Songs like Heartbreaker captured the sweaty vitality of their live shows. Mark Farner's guitar wailed while drummer Don Brewer pounded out relentless beats. Mel Schocker's bass grooved hard underneath. Grand Funk's music reeked of oil, leather, and real working-class authenticity. They rocked stadiums nationwide through sheer playing power despite scorn from critics. While snobs complained about lack of finesse, real fans responded to Grand Funk's primal energy. Sure, critics mocked their lyrics as dumb and simple, But anthems like We're an American Band proudly celebrated rock and roll camaraderie. Despite scoring a #1 album, Grand Funk still got tagged as ignorant buffoons by the press. But who cares when you've got chops to move tens of thousands? Their raucous concerts left crowds hoarse from chanting along. Grand Funk's unpretentious rock still packs a potent punch today. Let's mellow things out with the Doors. Jim Morrison's dark mystique and poetic lyrics hypnotized fans. Acid-laced tracks like Light My Fire and Break On Through bent musical boundaries. But the Doors polarized listeners too. Morrison's on-stage antics like exposing himself shocked squares. His alcoholism alienated bandmates. Yet 5 decades later, the Doors' dark mystique endures. Love him or hate him, Morrison left an indelible mark on rock culture. We still crave the dark rush of L.A. Woman all these years later. The Doors seem to channel exotic, dangerous forces missing from other bands. Morrison sang of reptiles, wilderness, and ancient hieroglyphic visions. His deeply resonant baritone could shift from mysterious whisper to ecstatic primal scream. Draped in leather pants and swirling with shamanic energy, Morrison appeared a modern Dionysus, unleashing dark impulses. The Doors' hypnotic instrumentation accentuated the intoxicating danger. Omi recoiled from Morrison's provocative lyrics and mystical abandon. But legions more flocked to experience the Doors' sinister seduction. That vibe of occult risk still lures us in decades later. If you like to push boundaries, you probably loved Joy Division. This English post-punk band channeled existential angst into atmospheric despair. Ian Curtis's brooding baritone and bleak lyrics defined the post-punk sound. But Curtis's severe depression and untimely suicide added a tragic asterisk. Joy Division's impact has echoed for decades, influencing bands like The Cure, U2, and Interpol. Yet for some, Joy Division is reduced to a trendy t-shirt design rather than musical appreciation. But we still get chills from those dark masterpieces like Love Will Tear Us Apart. Enough darkness. Let's stir up some country flavor nostalgia. The Eagles soared throughout the 70s with laid-back country rock. Hits like Take It Easy and Hotel California defined driving music for a generation. But some found the band too mellow and conventional, especially next to contemporaries like Zeppelin. Eagles came to represent the slickness of corporate music. Yet those rich harmonies and guitar lines endure today. For easygoing 70s vibes, nothing quite hits the spot like the Eagles. It's sad others would rather not get with their vibe. Speaking of mellow gold, who remembers Bread? This band churned out gentle acoustic pop in the early 70s. Their sentimental love songs like Make It With You and If made Bread poster boys for soft rock. But some found their music off-puttingly sappy and lightweight. Without a doubt, Bread spread the schmaltz on thick, but David Gates could craft a hook, lending an irresistible sweetness to tracks like Baby I'ma Want You. Love them or hate them, Bread makes us swoon for the age of the sensitive singer-songwriter. But some still feel they were overrated and the hype unnecessary. If you wanted bombast and pretension, you likely loved Emerson, Lake, and Palmer. This English progressive rock trio pushed boundaries with synthesizer virtuosity and hyper-literate concepts. Keith Emerson attacked the keyboards while Greg Lake belted existential angst. But many found ELP tedious, masturbatory, and off-putting. Nonetheless, their labyrinthine songs like Lucky Man and From the Beginning endure as prog rock staples. And we have a soft spot for their keyboard pyrotechnics. ELP opened the floodgates for every art rock excess that followed. In moderation, please. Time to get the lead out. The mighty Led Zeppelin rattled critics with their bluesy bombast in the 70s. This English foursome created the blueprint for heavy metal grandeur. Crushing tracks like Whole Lotta Love and Immigrant Song left indelible marks on hard rock. But not everyone adored Jimmy Page's epic guitar excursions and Robert Plant's banshee wailing. Some dismiss Zeppelin as sloppy and overblown. Yet today, Zeppelin reigns atop the rock hierarchy. That's some sweet satisfaction for a band once maligned by critics. We still crave the hammer of the gods every time. For many, they rather have a different tool of the gods in their ears. If you wanted straight-up rock and roll, you likely loved Bad Company. This British supergroup kicked out no-nonsense, blues-tinged hard rock in the 70s. Paul Rodgers' whiskey-soaked voice soared on hits like Can't Get Enough and Feel Like Makin' Love. Yet some at the time found Bad Company's music unoriginal and conventional compared to proggy contemporaries. Nonetheless, Bad Company cooked up some indelibly catchy rock and roll. Their meat and potatoes sound still satisfies our cravings today. We could feel like making love to these lost classics all over again. Isn't it funny that many people rather not play their songs? Time to boogie, remember ABBA? This Swedish supergroup lit up disco floors and radio dials in the 70s with impossibly catchy pop. Picture the shimmering synthesizers and dance floor euphoria of Dancing Queen. What's not to love, right? Yet in the 70s, some scorned ABBA as manufactured schlock and Eurotrash fraught. But today we bask in the glory of ABBA's pristine pop craftsmanship. Their musical brilliance shines brighter than those sequin suits ever could. While some will take a chance on me with ABBA again in a heartbeat, others would rather have a cookout and listen to nature hum in their ears. If you wanted punk fury, the Sex Pistols probably revved you up. These sneering British rabble-rousers spit venom at the music establishment with tracks like Anarchy in the UK. Their chaotic energy and snarling rowdiness kicked off the punk explosion. Parents and politicians recoiled at the Sex Pistols' offensive antics, like swearing on live TV. Yet the band's no future ethos encapsulated punk's furious disillusionment and DIY spirit. The Sex Pistols burned fast and bright, crashing after just one album. But Johnny Rotten and company ignited a cultural youthquake still felt today. God save the Sex Pistols and their glorious havoc. Time to get cosmic. Remember Pink Floyd? This English band took listeners to dizzying psychedelic heights in the 70s with conceptual masterworks like Dark Side of the Moon. Their heady compositions touched on weighty themes of madness, war, and alienation. Some dismissed Pink Floyd as pretentious and too druggy, especially during their experimental early years. But their musical brilliance endures today, influencing countless bands. While some still eagerly climb comfortably numb stairways to sonic heaven all these years later, many people are relieved that this band are a thing of the past. Last but not least, who could forget Disco Dynamo's KC and the Sunshine Band? Harry Wayne Casey and his band churned out effervescent dance floor euphoria in the 70s. Classics like Get Down Tonight, That's the Way, I Like It, and Shake Your Booty define the disco era. While many people loved these classic releases, most people would rather stay in a quiet room than allow these sounds to dictate their grooves.